All right, so the way this works, binomials are two terms, okay? We know it's going to be a binomial. We should see parentheses to indicate the multiplication. The way, and I'm just going to model this, okay? The way this works is by using the for method. The for method says you're going to multiply. It's kind of like distributing one term at a time. The f in the for method is first term. So if I look at my grouping here, I know this is multiplying because I see two parentheses here. And basically we're going to do the first term. The first term is the a. That a gets multiplied the first term in the other grouping, which is c. Which is why they wrote ac. That was the first two terms that they multiplied together. O is the outer terms. So the outer terms are like the outside of the two groupings. So this would be the A, and this D. AD represents the outer terms in the two groupings, the outsides. The I is your inner terms. Inner is here, the B and the C. So that's our I here. And then our last terms. Last in each parentheses. The last in each parentheses is the B and the D. So when I multiply those together, we just get BD, which is our last term. So you can, it should be, and then at the end we just combine like terms. Okay, so you can write out your FOIL and to model the setup. Okay, but basically we're just going to do distributing. First term would be x to first term would be x. So x times x would give you what? So under here I'm going to put x squared for my first term. Then we're going to the outer terms. That would be x all the way out to the very end to 4. So that's going to give me 4x. Are y'all with me so far? All right, then we're going to do I is the inner terms. Okay, we look at the two that are inside, right here. So that would be 2 and the x gets multiplied together. And that would give me 2x. And then the last two numbers in each grouping are the 2 and the 4. So that would give me 8. So all we have to do now is combine like terms. Okay, so don't forget to combine like terms. The like terms are the O and the I, the outer and the inner. So our final answer is a trinomial. It is x squared plus 6x plus 8.
O and I always have it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's look at example 2. We're doing the first terms together. That would be 2x times x. That's going to give me my 2x squared. The outer terms together. That's the 2x and the 5. It's a minus 5, so that's going to be minus 10x. Inner terms. That would be my 1 and my x. So that's going to be plus just x, or 1x. And then the last terms are the 1 and the minus 5. That's going to leave me with the negative 5. Last we have to do is just combine like terms. Combine like terms are going to be the x's. So this would be 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. Okay. So in class, this is going to be an in-class check. This is our next entry in our page, in our spiral for our unit. I'm going to focus on the odds, the left column. Okay, we will do those and check your understanding together for those. And then you're going to check the evens. So I will be stamping this page to make sure everyone's on the right track. Okay. All right. So number 1, first term, what are they? What do we multiply together on number 1?
Y,
Yeah, y times y. If you need to write out the acronym to help you set up your work, you can. All right, y and y is going to leave me with y squared. Then the outer terms, that would be which two? Outer terms. No. It'll be 1 and y. So that's going to leave me with just a y. All right, inner terms. That would be 8 and y. So that's plus 8y. And the last are always your constant, your numbers. So plus 8. So we're going to combine like terms to get our final answer. Oops. Hope I did this right. All right, this is going to give me y squared plus 9y plus 8. All right, so number 3, first start x times x. That's going to give me x squared. Then x times 4 and minus 4, give me minus 4x. Then I go to the next term. This is negative 10 times x, gives me negative 10x. And this negative 10 times a negative 4 gives me positive 40. We're going to combine like terms and start with the highest exponent of x squared minus 14x plus 40. Now, if you have a coefficient with your variables, just make sure you're multiplying those as well. So 4x times x gives you 4x squared. 4x times 3, that gives us 12x. Negative 7 times x gives me negative 7x. And negative 7 times positive 3 gives me negative 21. So now we just need to combine like terms. 4x squared is the highest exponent. A positive 12x minus 7x. It's going to leave me with plus 5x. Then minus 21. All right, 3y times 3y is going to give me 9y squared. 3y times 2 gives me plus 6y. 1 times 3y gives me just 3y. And 1 times 2 gives me plus 2. Combine your like terms. 9y squared plus 9y plus 2. So 8h plus 3h is going to give you 24h squared. Then 8h times, not plus, times a negative 1 gives me a negative 8h. A negative 3 times 3h gives me negative 9h. And a negative 3 times a negative 1 gives me plus 3. So this comes out to be 24h squared minus the 17h plus 3. Okay. Evens. This is our next page into your spiral. So when you're done, let's get this in. I'll come by and stamp and check the even. I'll give you the second page. Yes, Kim?
Why does they have an exponent too?
5. Oh, it doesn't. So you're right. It shouldn't have an exponent too. It should be x. Yeah, it should just be x. Sorry about that. We're going to move on. So on the second page, it's the same method. You're still using FOIL. It's just that now in our binomial, we're going to have 2 different variables. So we're still going to follow the same method. We're still using FOIL. So if you want to write it out so you can line up your parts, you can. But you just got to watch your variables. So like on the first term, x times 5x times x, this is still going to give me 5x squared. But now when I go to my outer term, I'm doing this 5x times this negative y. So this becomes minus 5xy. So you put both variables to show the product. The inner would be 4y times x. That's going to give me plus 4xy. I put the x first because you got to put it in alphabetical order when listing your variables. And then we have 4y times this minus y. It's like a minus 1 or negative 1, so this would be negative 4y squared. So when we combine like terms, we're still going to have like terms right here with this minus 5xy and plus 4xy. So this would be 5x squared minus an xy minus 4y squared. Okay. So you can still do 11 through 14 using the FOIL method. Now, when you get to 15 through 18, you just got to understand what it means. Okay, and I'm going to review that with you, but I have some notes up here when you're ready to indicate what you have to do when I see a binomial with an exponent of 2. Okay, there is a shortcut that I'm going to show you and I'll do with you, but I want you to get to at least 15 for us to check in class and we can do our second part. All right, so let's check your answers on 11 through 14. You're still using the FOIL method. We should end up with on 12, 2a squared minus 3ab, then minus 20b squared. On 13, actually turns into a binomial because the RS's cancel. This final answer is 4r squared minus s squared. And then on 14, we should get 28c squared minus cd, or you could have put 1cd, and then minus 2d squared. Yes. All right, so let me walk you through 15 through 18. There is a shortcut, but you got to understand that anytime I see a grouping symbol like such, and the exponent outside that symbol, it means you have two factors of that group. So this means you have p minus 7 and then another p minus 7. And we're multiplying them. Now, you can do it just by doing FOIL. It'll get you to the same answer. The shortcut is you look at the first term, which is your p. This is your first term, and you square that. If I square that first term, that would be p squared. Okay? Then, step 2 says right here, multiply the first and second term. Here's your first, here's your second. If I multiply those two numbers together, these two terms together, that's a negative 7p. And then we're going to double that, so that becomes a negative 14p. And then square the second term. The second term is the 7. If I square a negative 7 squared is a positive 49. So there's the answer. Anytime I square a binomial, I'm going to square the first term. So here it is on 17. If I square 2m squared, that becomes 4m squared, because you got to square the number and the letter. Then if I take these two terms and double them, multiply them together, 2m times minus 5 is a negative 10. But if I double it, it becomes a negative 20m. Now the last thing I just need to do is square the last term. If I square that, it becomes positive 25. And there's our answer. Or you can just do FOIL. FOIL means you just have two factors of the grouping. So if I change this to A plus 3B times A plus 3B, and then we're just going back to FOIL, first term, A squared. Outer term, what is it, plus 3AB. Inner term, plus 3AB. Last term, plus 9B squared. So it gets you to the same answer. This ends up becoming A squared plus 6AB plus 9B squared. Okay. All right, now, a binomial times a trinomial. Okay, the last section, let me show it to you, means you're just going to distribute each term and combine like terms at the end. So, you start with your first term, which is the x. Do this with me. We're going to distribute to each term. That means x times x squared. What would that give us? X to the third power, x cubed. Then you do x times 3x. That would be plus 3x squared. Then x times minus 6. That gives me negative 6x. Now I go to the next term. The next term is the 4. I'm now distributing that to each term. 4 times x squared. That gives me 4x squared. 4 times 3x plus 12x. And then 4 times the negative 6, negative 24. Now we're just combining like terms. I start with the highest exponent. That's the x to the third. Then I have a 3x squared and a 4x squared. That becomes 7x squared minus 6x plus 12x gives me plus 6x. And then we're left with minus 24. So tonight, I want you to try to use the distributing each term, complete these problems, okay? Now, our shaded area is just like the shaded on our yellow binomial, yellow polynomial notes. So it's the same thing. To get the shaded, you have to take the large area, subtract it from the small area. Okay, the method has not changed. So what I want you to do tonight is to finish the notes. Okay? All right, let's pack it up.